So, how did the group Touch form before Entouch?
Um, wow. Let's see if I can remember back that far. um, I had a friend named Kent that I was actually in a rap group with, and he kept telling me about his boys. I had to meet his boys Eric and Gordon, and he wanted to take me up to Mount Vernon. I'm from the Bronx, so he was like, "Yo, let's go check out my people." I kept going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and eventually we went. And the vibe what that was going over there was dope. It was Eric Gordon and like six other cats from the Eden Wall projects in the Bronx. And it was almost like an Earth, Wind, and Fire type of thing. It was crazy. It was a bunch of us. But everything, when we worked harder and got more, the strong stood, the rest slid. And that's how I ended up the four of us, Sean Varro, Commissioner Gordon Williams, Eric McCaine, and myself.
That's good. So, was
And
music something you wanted to do?
yeah, all my life. I mean, I actually started performing professionally when I was like 5. My mother used to put me on take me certain places and put me on the bar, and I used to sing and dance to Michael Jackson records for money. And then I started doing my own shows when I was like 5 or 6, little local stuff. And then fell out of it for a minute. But I had an older brother that played, and so I was always watching musicians, around musicians, and that's how I learned how to play, imitating him. I was imitating him so much that before I knew it, I actually knew how to play. And that's kind of how that happened.
That's good. So, I know you said it was Michael Jackson records and things like that. So, were
Yeah.
you influenced by any other artists or groups?
Oh, man. So many. Probably anyone who knows me, and before I even say it, anybody who's watching, and they'll say it before I do, but probably my biggest musical influence was Prince. Easy.
Prince.
Yeah, absolutely. I started rocking with him when I was like 12 years old on that first album. It just felt like something I never heard before. And I actually used to play hooky from school to learn how to play Prince albums. Stay in the house and practice all day. And yeah, Prince, I mean, hip hop, huge influence. Where I grew up in the Bronx, it's called the Valley, Valley stand up. We had a park called Haffen Park, Valley Park. And it was like the Madison Square Garden of summer jams, like when hip hop first started. And, everybody played our part. Grandmaster Flash, the Furious Five, Raheem from the Furious Five is like my big brother. Um, Cold Crush for, like, there was actually a Sugar Hill Day in the park. And, like, it was crazy. And, hip hop, major influence on me. I went to the Fever. I went to the T Connection. I went to the Ecstasy Garage. I went to the PAL. I was at all them hip hop parties. I was at all them shootouts. um, yeah, I was. It's very much a fiber of who I am. You know what I mean? So between hip hop, Prince, of course, the Jacksons. My mother took me to see the Jackson 5 when I was 4. No, my aunt Barbara did when I was like 4. And I must have saw the Jacksons in concert like 7, 8 times up to the Victory Tour. Through my whole childhood, and I must have seen Prince in concert at least 20 something times. So, and I started touring when I was like 13, 14. There's a group called A Limited Touch, an R&B group, and 2 of the guys are from my neighborhood. One was Sandy Anderson, who just passed due to COVID. God bless his soul. Definitely like my mentor. And the other brother, Letty Underwood, is still like my big brother. They took me on tour with them. They had 2 really big records, I Hear Music in the Street and Searching to Find the One. I was like maybe 12, 13. And I was running around in the streets, wilding out, not dealing with school. And then something bad happened. And they went to my mother and he was like, look, let us take them on tour. Let's get them out of here. They made sure I was on top of my schoolwork and all of that. And I went out on tour with them. And once I got in the door, I never really looked back. I got my first record deal when I was like 16. I got a rap deal on Next Plateau Records. I will never say the name of the record or the name of the group because no one's going to throw that one back at me. and, but I learned a lot. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is all I ever wanted to do. This is all it ever was for me. And also got to say, Sly and the Family Stone, gigantic influence. Joni Mitchell was probably my favorite songwriter of all time. So yeah, that's it. I'm a gumbo of influences. You know, Rakim, my favorite rapper of all time, definitely an influence.
Yeah, so I know that Touch, the first single was Without You. Is that the one that put you all on the map?
Yeah, man, and like that shit happened so fast that it was like, we was all 18, 19, 20. You know what I mean? And we recorded it. Eric used to work. First of all, big shout out to Eric McCaine. Still one of my best friends. Still like my brother. Um, Shout out to Commissioner Gordon, Sean Barrow, as well. We Eric worked in a jingle house. He was an assistant engineer in the jingle house. So when they were closed,
I can't really hear you.
he worked in the jingle house. So we used to go in there and record when they were closed. And he had already written Without You by the time I got down with him. I had a little bit. Eric, we got to say this. Eric is like a hip hop pioneer that a lot of people don't realize. He was in the group, the Infinity 4 MCs, who were the crew for DMD. At the time, he was DMX, not DMX, excuse me, DST. And he was known as one of the illest DJs. He did the scratching on that Herbie Hancock joint Rocket. And they went on the first hip hop tour ever to Europe. Godfather KC, that was Eric. He doesn't get enough props for that, but he was definitely one of the pioneers of it. But anyway, we would go there. He had graduated from Center of Media Arts, so he was an engineer there. We would go there and just record. We put the little demo package together. I think Eric and Gordon met Timmy Regisford, who was, one of the biggest producers in house music to this day. Gave him the demo tape. He heard it and liked it. Brought it to one of his boys. So at Supertronics Records, they loved it. They come in, re-record it. We did it. And the record was literally out. Like, we recorded it maybe in, I want to say January. And we were doing our first shows right around my birthday in March. Like, it was that fast. Like, it came out, hit so hard, so quick. The radio jumped on it really quick, thanks to Larry Levin. Thanks to Tony Humphreys. And just regular radio, Without You was one of them. And even though it was a house record, it appealed to R&B fans. It appealed to the streets because we was from the streets. So I guess you felt that and heard that in it. So, yeah. And we didn't even know what was going on. We was doing shows like, oh shit, y'all paying us for this? Like, I ain't got to go talk to that girl. She's going to come talk to me. Oh, I can get used to this. And that's kind of, yeah, it was a whirlwind, and we was in Berlin. We was doing 5, 6. At one point, we was doing 4 to 5 shows a night off of that record. Just having a ball. It wasn't even a business to us yet, which I regret now. But we had a lot of fun. That I don't regret. But yeah, Without You is how it all got started, and it hit for us crazy.
So after that, you both became a duo, you and Eric. How did that come about?
What happened was Gordon was never really into performing. He always wanted to be an engineer and producer, which he went on and did to the highest level. He's 8 Grammys deep, the Lauryn Hill album, Carlos Supernatural, a bunch of the Marley family stuff. Like, Gordon's that dude. You know what I mean? So yeah, he that's what he wanted to do. And me and Eric just started writing. Like, we would write every day. And most of what we was writing during that period is what you heard on the All Night album. The All Nights, the 2 Hypes, the 2 Steps to the Right. We wrote All Crazy for You. We wrote all that stuff like 8-month binge. And Sean just kind of, wasn't a bad thing. He just kind of faded doing his own thing. And me and Eric just stuck together. And then Timmy Regisford heard the demos we was doing again. and he was rocking with us. He wanted us to come. He was over at MCA at this point because he had loose ends. He was working with Teddy and them, and through another person who name escapes me at this point. Found out that Vincent Davis over at Entertainment was looking for us because everybody was like, "Where's Touch?" Because it hit so hard, especially in New York. You know, he was like, "What's up with them cats? What are they doing?" So through some other people, I got a phone call like, "Yo, Vincent Davis is looking for you." And I'm like, "Who's Vincent Davis?" He's like, "Yo, Keith Sweat." And we had just won and saw Keith Sweat at Red Parrot because, you know, it was before he even came out. It was a big thing. Like, yo, this cat is getting ready to change the game. And, you know, we already knew about Teddy and all that, you know, from me and Dougie Fresh was already, I know Dougie Fresh since high school. So, you know, I definitely knew who Teddy was. I didn't know him personally yet well, but I knew who he was and he knew who I was. So they wanted us to come over to MCA and be part of that whole movement. But they wanted, I don't know how true it was, but the way it was presented to us that, you know, they wanted us to be part of the New Jack Swing family, you know, work with Teddy and all of them. But me and Eric, we wrote and produced our own stuff.
Yeah.
And it didn't really feel like, you know, don't get it wrong. Teddy and them was killing the game and we loved what he did, but we knew our stuff was a little different than that.
Yeah.
And we wasn't really trying to fall in with that. You know, we was almost like misfits of the whole New Jack Swing movement. You know, I feel like us and Tony, you know, we were both like part of it, but not part of it. You know what I mean?
You're saying, yeah.
Yeah. You know, like we had huge like slave influences.
Yeah.
You know, that was a big band to us. We loved Slave. You know what I mean? We loved Loose Ends. But you heard the beats in it because we was both rappers and, you know, grew up around hip hop. You know,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what made out the hybrid of our sounds. You know, Teddy's stuff was a little bit more church influence, chord wise, music melodically, and we was just straight beats, bass lines, and whatever crazy melody would pop up in my head because I would come up with a lot of the melodies. And you know, that's how the whole Entouch thing came to be, kind of. You
Yeah,
know,
because
with Vincent Davis because he wanted us. He said we could produce ourselves.
mm-hmm.
So that's how we ended up on Entertainment Electra. Shout to Vincent.
Yeah, so listening to the albums, it does sound a little different. Now, it's some New Jack on there, like Too Hype. I would think that's probably more the closest thing to
Well,
it. More.
even Too Hype,
Mm-hmm.
I understood. Like when we used to do in stores and stuff, when Too Hype came out, they didn't know how to categorize us. Like they
Okay.
would have us in the rap section,
Mm-hmm.
or someone would have us, you know, next to Guy and Today and all of that. They didn't know because Too Hype was harder than anything else at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like the hardest joint to that point. You know what I mean? Like when I go back and listen to Too Hype, you know, I see where Poison came from. You know what I mean? And where R&B went as a whole after that. So, you know, and we didn't know we was doing nothing really different. We just was doing what felt right to us. You know what I mean? But yeah, we didn't actually fit in neatly into that pile. You know, even though we toured with all them guys, we was always touring with Heavy, toured with Troop a whole lot. Shout to them cats. They actually made one of my all-time favorite records. Spread My Wings is probably one of my top 3 favorite records. Like I would come when I knew that part was coming in their set, I would come out my dressing room and make sure I watched that. That was my song. So yeah, we was a little different, a bit of odd cast, but we was very comfortable in our skin also.
Yeah, you all were. I could say you all were more in you all's own lane.
Yeah.
The acts that were out.
Yeah. I mean, at sometimes at the time we would feel like, well, should we do more? That we was like, no, you know, we were who we were. You know what I mean? So it was everything that always hit for us when it hit was because it was so different. You know, one of the closest things that kind of was probably the most commercial viable of anything we ever did was All Night. You know, but it still felt like a slave record with hip hop underneath it. You know what I mean? And me and Eric wrote the lyrics to that. Eric wrote the hook. I wrote the verses. But it was, you know, it was very tongue in cheek. It was very undertoned, very sexual when you really listen to what we were saying. You know what I mean? We pushed a little harder in Threshold, but that was my Prince influence.
Cool. So what made you all choose Too Hype as the first single?
That shit was just obvious. You know what I mean? Like we literally mixed that record for 10 days. 10 days, ripping it apart, putting it back there. It took us longer to mix it than it took to create that shit. You know what I mean? It was and Ray Daniels, who worked at Entertainment, he was sitting there with us one day. And it probably was like the 9th day. And who mixed it for us? I want to say, I think it was Paul Logus, who mixed like a lot of the Albie Shore stuff and all that. And I love the way Albie Shore's first album sounded. I like the sound, the brilliance of the mixes. I wanted that sound for us, even though our music was different. And I think Ray said something like, yo, turn up the snare. And when they turned up the snare, all of us just looked at each other like, that's what it is. And that was it. And I think Vintage shipped that record out to Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out, who is funny because they're both like, I've known them both since I was kids. Again, it's a Bronx thing, you know, and, you know, Zulu Nation, Red, all that. But, you know, they were very much responsible. Kid Capri on the street. Yeah, very, very, very much who broke that record. Like, that record came out and it was instantaneous. Like, it was the anthem in Harlem. And you got to remember, Teddy owned radio at that point. He completely owned radio. We were like one of the only records that broke through. You know, and a lot of people thought it was Guy when it first came out. Like, oh, God did something different. And he was like, who's In Touch? To this day, that song is bigger than the name In Touch.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also weird about this song is that people actually know the first verse of that song more than they know the hook. You know, you could say too high. People go, huh? If I go, put on my best. Oh, that's my shit. It's weird. Everything about that whole record is weird.
Cool record though. I love the record.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I like I could go back and listen to it, or you know, it still comes on the radio like quite frequently. And or I'm in a club and they'll play it. And then it's crazy when I see kids like your age and younger, like they know that shit. They singing, put on. I'm just like, whoa. I mean, a couple of people, Jason Weaver redid it. Big Pun with Tony Sunshine. You know, God bless the dead. Shout to Tony. That's my dude. Who else? Cam. You know, people have touched on it. No one's done it right yet. I'm dying to see someone do it right. Someone told me, I was in LA working, and someone told me that Chris Brown has been trying to figure out how to redo it for the past 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
I even heard how it was chopped up and how they were doing it. It was kind of crazy. If he ever finishes it, that's going to be fire.
Yeah, it is.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
Can I get a quick shout out to like my nephew, my man Pocket in Atlanta. What up, boy? I see you. There's all kind of people popping in here. I haven't talked to you forever. What up, y'all? Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. And I know you all did the second single. When you had the video, it featured Keith Sweat. How did that come about with adding Keith Sweat to it?
Well, you know, we were both on Entertainment Electra.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, that was kind of a natural thing. Like, people thought Keith Sweat found us and put us on. Like,
Yeah.
that's the wise tale. Like, I read that in my own bio. I'm like, huh? That ain't what happened. I mean, but you know, we was on the label. Keith was hot as fish grease, and he liked All Night. So he was like, yo, I want to get on that. Or we was gonna say no. Like, nigga, please get on it immediately, faster, quicker, now. And you know, and a lot of people don't realize this. All Night was a bigger hit than Too Hype.
Yeah, it was. I saw that too when I looked it up.
Yeah, like that. All Night was top 10 pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, Too Hype may have been a more impactful record.
Yeah.
But All Night was bigger.
Yeah.
Like we toured a lot. Like, and it's funny because there was no internet then.
Yeah.
So you would go to certain towns and not know which song off the album was the joint in that town. Like, we would get certain places, and at one point we didn't even have Crazy For You in the set. And people are screaming Crazy For You. We had to like wing that shit on stage. Like, just play the group, we'll figure it out from there. And you know, other places like in the Midwest, it was actually a dance called Two Steps to the Right. Like, that's how big it was. You know what I mean? We didn't know. We didn't know how big Forever was. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you moving around, when you're in town, you're in and out so quick, you just didn't know. You know, and you know, that is heartwarming, you know, and by the time we was like 3-4 months into the tour, we knew just have everything ready. You know what I mean? And we had an amazing band too. So that worked out well.
So who did you all tour with during that time?
Sheesh, who didn't we tour with at that time? Uh, you know, everybody from like Heavy, and Heavy was from Mount Vernon, so that was like a family thing. Christopher Williams, and
Okay.
I known Chris since kindergarten, like
Oh
literally
wow.
since we go back like that. Like he's beyond friendship to me. We known each other almost. I can't remember a point in my life not knowing Chris. That's how long we known each other. So we did shows with him. Did a lot of shows with Lisa and Cult Jam, Rob Bass. Did a lot of pop shows too because All Night was a pop hit. So
Yeah.
like Seduction and stuff like that. The pop shows was pop radio stations and everything. No disrespect, but they just was treated you so much nicer. They were so much happy you were there. um, who else did we tour with? Like I said, Troop. We did a lot of shows with Troop. We did Madison Square Garden with Teddy and them. We did, that'll always be a highlight of my life. I went to concerts. I saw Sly and the Family Stone, the Jacksons, Parliament Funkadelic. I saw all that at Madison Square Garden. So to actually be on that stage, surreal. Yeah. Everybody of that, we did shows with Tony. Everybody from that era, we were with ICM and Mark Cheatham at the time. Big shout to Mark Cheatham, was still the king of the game. And he kept us working. Like we toured for like a year straight, like nonstop. It was fun. At least the first 6 months. Afterwards, you really start missing home, stuff like that. So yeah,
Do you feel
that's
like do you think the album should have been bigger?
yeah, absolutely. I felt like you know what, you don't know how your music affects people. You get a better idea now because again, the internet exists. So every now and then, when you just need your ego stroked or a hug, a digital hug, if you will, you just go on and like read some of the stuff that people write underneath your songs. You know what I mean? Like, people be like, yo, without you, like, help change my life. Like, huh? Or, Too Hype, like that holds so many memories to the best part of my life. Or, 2 Steps to the Right. People like, I met my wife. I could see my kid to that song. Like, word? Okay. Who saw it coming? You know what I mean? So I just think, I think after All Night, 2 Steps to the Right should have probably been the next single, or Forever, either one. That definitely would have catapulted it to another level instead of Crazy for You. Even though Crazy for You was a lot of people love that record, but the ballads were really staples on our albums it was a lot of things, but I also believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to. I was so wild and so excessive at that age. I might be dead now if that shit would have went through the roof. You know what I mean? So yeah, what happened was supposed to happen.
Cool. Because I feel like just looking, at the group and all that, I feel like the group should have been a little bit bigger, like as far as the success of the album. Because I hear other albums from like that time more than they talk about the Entouch All Night album.
No, that's true. And here's the thing, though: the people who talk about the Entouch All Night album, it's almost like a cult. Like they swear by it, and they still champion it, and that's heartwarming. But I think we definitely stood alone in our niche. You know what I mean? And that I take a lot of pride in. And we didn't form to any other styles.
Yeah.
You heard the hip hop in us, you heard the musicianship in us, you heard the writing in us. We were different, and we wore that like a flag. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not even sure we could have did what everybody else did. You know what I mean? and our influences were so much. Like, even though we was hip hop kids, we used to hang out before Without You came out. We used to hang out in the Paradise Garage heavy. You know what I mean? That was our favorite club. Where else could you not leave your house till 2:30 in the morning? You know what I mean? And go hang out. The club didn't close till noon. You know what I mean? So that was that all those influences made the gumbo that was Entouch. And then we was a duel. And you never seen too many duels hit it hard. You know what I mean? And that's probably why we added the third person to the second album. Which in retrospect, I mean, Quenton Rubin is an exceptional guitarist. Great performer. And I hadn't talked to him in years. We was a bit estranged for years, but recently, like in the past 2 months, we reconnected, and it's like been amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad we talking again, and I'm so glad that he's doing well, and we talking about our kids and all that. You know what I mean? So but in retrospect, we probably should have stayed a duo. You know what I mean? Because it kind of changed the people who was into us. It threw them off.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk to people now, he was like, well, where does the new guy come from? And then. But, he was our guitar player on tour, and he just gelled with us really well. But if I had to do it again, we probably would have kept it us too. And that's no disrespect to Quenton at all. It's just, it's who we were. You know what I mean? It's kind of how it birthed. Like, me and Eric was, even when it was all of us, me and Eric we were writers. You know what I mean? We were writers, and we both kind of walked to the rhythm of a different drum.
Yeah, because I see the first single from the second album was Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah, I love that record. I really do. Lyrically, it may have been one of the best songs I ever wrote. It's romantic as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it may have been too different. And and at the time, Vincent was he was the senior VP at Elektra, so it was all kind of politics. Bob Krasnow left, Sylvia Rhone was coming in, and we got caught up in all of that. You know what I mean? So that second album didn't come out the way we wanted because we had outside influences doing too much. I mean, I remember at a certain point, Eric just stopped coming to the studio. He was like, "What we going for?" You know what I mean? We got people from the record company saying how the mix should go and all that. And, it wasn't what we was used to. But there was a couple of songs. I love Drop Dead Gorgeous. I love Kick 'Em to the Curb. I thought that was a dope song. And we have a ballad on there, 2 ballads, In Love We Trust and Till Eternity, which is one of my all-time favorite songs.
I love Till Eternity.
Yeah. That song, I was actually kind of going through that. But that's the funny thing. 2 Steps to the Right is a true story. It is an absolutely true story. I was going through that when I wrote it. And I was kind of writing it as a goof. And then Eric heard it. Well, I sat down at the piano and played it for him and sang it to him. He was like, yo, you wildin'. That's a record. And I thought Too Hype was the corniest shit I ever wrote in my life. I did. I literally wrote Too Hype in 15 minutes, the verses. Put on my best, can't believe that she said yes, come on. That shit was so corny, but I guess the simplicity of it, and it was kind of how we talked, and it still kind of came from a little bit of a different angle, she's so fly, she don't get high. You know what I mean? Because crack was banging around there. Crack was king. There was a bunch of bad chicks smoking on the low. You know what I mean? So, I get it. But at the time, it felt super corny to me. Yeah, so that's kind of how that whole happened. But now the second Entouch album, I'm a fan of it to this day.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, at least the creation of it. I'm not happy with all the mixes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I definitely, there were songs on there I like, and we expanded our sound. We definitely got even more musical.
Yeah, you do all this. It sounds a lot different than the first album, I feel like. Yeah.
Well, that was also Quentin's influence now too, because Quentin was a guitar player. And I played guitar, but he was a guitar player. There's a difference. You know what I mean? He was a guitarist. I play guitar. So it's different. you know, because some of what we lacked maybe in our musical, not education but theory, we didn't really, you know, excuse the French, but we didn't really give a fuck about theory. We did what felt right. You know, there was nothing like Too Hype before Too Hype, but that shit felt right. So we rocked out with it. You know what I mean? I think we started thinking too much musically a little bit on the second album. You know what I mean? But, you know, again, that was our influences. That was Slave. That was Prince and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the single She Used to Be My Girl on there too. I like that one too.
That was Quenton. That was Quenton's song. He brought that one to the table. And yeah, I like that song too. It was so R&B. It was so classic R&B. And it's funny because you go online on YouTube and read, you know, you see that people, oh, that's my joint. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. No, She Used to Be My Girl. And I thought that was a good choice for a single too.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't feel like Drop Dead Gorgeous should have been our first single. I felt like Kick 'Em to the Curb should have been our first single, or Marry Sweet, because that was more in the veins of Too Hype. You know what I mean? But you know, again, there are no mistakes. What's supposed to happen happened.
Yeah.
So I regret nothing. And it turned me into, right after Entouch we went our separate ways. I had a whole nother group signed to Elektra that never came out, called Group Home Productions. And we called it Group Home because everybody was from a different group. You remember the group Whistle?
Yeah, I heard him.
Yeah, Jazz, who was the lead singer of Whistle, he left. Me and him got cool because I produced some of Whistle's very last album. And he was doing a solo album and I was producing it. But we vibed so well. I was like, yo, I think I'm going to do another project. So he came and got down with me. And the other cat was Will. We used to call him Will Skills. He was from a group called Pure Blend. He used to sing on all the Nice and Smooth records. You look at the old videos, the singing group that was in there. Will was in that group. And he left them and came and got down with us. So it was like a group home, you know, a bunch of bastard people from other groups. That's like when we call it Group Home Productions. And that album is absolutely amazing. It's never going to see the light of day. You know, the business went wrong. And I think we just got beat down to the point that we just all walked away. We all just walked away. And, you know, but the album was crazy. And from that point on, I just became a writer and producer. Just started writing for people and producing for people. And, you know, luckily, knock on wood, I've been able to make a living and do that, you know, ever since. And, you know, of course, expanded my skill set. To this point, I've directed videos. I head up the urban division for publishing companies. I was a writer and producer for EMI/Sony Publishing for years. I ran the music department for Lizzie Grumman. You know, it's like, and she's still like my sister. I kind of consult over there now. But, you know, I would have never had the ideas to like have my own clothing line and other endeavors that I'm doing now if I didn't go through all that stuff. So it was a necessity. It had to happen. No regrets.
Yeah, that's good that, you know, even though, you know, Entouch they disbanded, you were able to continue to keep a job in the music business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've worked with so many people, you know, like MOP, that's family to me. I've been around them since their first album. I played keyboards in their first album. And, you know, their last album, I produced a song on there on Billy Dance. I produced 2 songs for him on his solo stuff. And, you know, I still produce. I've been having a lot of fun doing house music again. Like, it kind of feels spiritual to me now. You know what I mean? It's like you watch people dance to house music. It feels like gospel, like they letting something go. And I connect to that somehow. And I have so many friends in that game, you know. So I produced maybe the last 3 of the last 4 CeCe Rogers singles. I co-wrote and co-produced with him. Yeah, it's like I always stay busy. You know what I mean? You know, and kids. And I'm a grandfather now. So, you know, I'm enjoying the hell out of that. My oldest son had twin daughters. So, you know, they're going to keep me on the track hoeing for the rest of my life. They're my pimps to the day I die at this point. So, you know, Life is good, man. I have no complaints. You know, I have a loving family, wonderful woman. Life is, things are good. And me and Eric toured a lot last year. Well, not last year, right before COVID.
Okay, that's good.
We did the Tom Joyner cruise, which was, we had a ball because everybody was on there, people we haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
Like Bismarck, God bless the dead. I hadn't seen Biz in years, and I known Biz forever. You know what I mean? So he was on there performing. Nice and Smooth on there. And I worked on the Nice and Smooth albums. I played keyboards on some of those back in the day.
Cool.
So, you know, they're family to me. Yeah, everybody was on it. Janet performed on the boat. Maxwell performed on the boat. It the Whispers. That was a wonderful experience, you know. And you know, it was fun performing again. And we did some dates on the I Love the '90s tour right before that with Salt and Pepper and Rob Bass and Coolio, and you know, which, and you know, we may end up doing again. It just has to be the right ones, and it has to make sense. You know what I mean? As you know, Eric still sounds great, looks great. You know, I'm doing okay. I'm holding it together. So, you know, we'll ain't no more high kicks, and like, don't come to an Entouch show going, ooh, we gonna see Free do that kick he used to do. Nah, son. Those days is over. You know, past 50 now. When they know, even Prince stopped doing the splits at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, but you know, we still have fun, and we make sure people have fun. So, you know, if the right situation comes again, I'm sure we'll start doing shows again. And we even talking about doing some stuff, some dance stuff. You know what I mean? I was on the phone with CeCe Rogers yesterday. He's like, yo, me and you and Eric should do a joint, you know, Touch featuring CeCe Rogers. I'm like, yeah, that would make some noise. You know, just figuring out a bunch of stuff. It's cool. And I love your side.
Good.
I love everything you do. And I love how you find some of the obscure stuff that people don't know and you post.
Yeah.
I'm like, you must be a real music head.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So do you play anything or anything?
No.
Nothing. Or you just love listening?
Yeah, I love listening.
Okay. So, you know, that's kind of what it is now. You know, right now I'm actually involved in my first movie project. As a producer. That's exciting. I'll say more about it when it's time to. But you know, it's dope at this age that you need to keep finding new things.
Yeah.
Again, I have to shout my clothing line with my partner E, New York shit. And we came out right before COVID, and it hit so hard and sold out so quick. Then COVID hit, and we still have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of products sitting at a deck somewhere, a dock somewhere in Shanghai or something that we're never going to see. So we had to literally start back to square one, but we get ready to relaunch in 2022. It's going to be very exciting.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing you promote it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to, you know, go put it on some of my friends, some of my, you know, my real New York heads. You know what I mean? And even though it's a New York brand, everybody got to do a little bit of New York shit in them. You know what I mean? Whether it's your swag or, you know, your attitude, everybody got a little New York shit in them. You know, that's why one of the reasons why we named it that. You know, so, you know, it's exciting. I will definitely want to give big shouts. Again, Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out. Harlem, Bronx, Valley all day. You know, it's been a good run, and it ain't finished yet. So, you know.
Because I saw the Pass the Mic, the DJ Cassidy, the two Hype Pass the Mic.
Oh yeah, I know. Damn, I almost forgot about that. I'm glad you brought it up. We needed to talk about that, huh? That was like a reunion. When you looked at all of us on that one, like, to a lot of people, that is still a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah.
You know, and I love where Cassidy put us. A lot of people don't know, but Chill Will, Dougie Fresh's DJ, he works with Cassidy, getting the people, you know, for the thing. So he reached out to me first, and I was in Nashville because I kind of split I still live in New York. New York is my base, but I split my time between New York, Nashville, and Miami.
Okay.
And he hit me. I was in Nashville. He was like, "Yo, you seen the Cassidy thing?" And I hadn't saw one or two yet. So he sent me the links. I was like, "Yo, this is dope. This is like a dope concert mixtape." He's like, "Exactly. Well, we're doing one for New Jack Swing, and we can't do that without y'all." So I called Eric. I was like, "Yo, you in?" He's like, "Yeah." And we shot it. Cassidy, always been a good guy. Cassidy's a good guy. He's a good soul, good heart. And that's probably why nobody tells him no. You know what I mean? And he put it together, and he represented us all so well. You know what I mean? And just to be on there with, some of the people we used to tour with, when I saw Troop on there.
Yeah.
And BBD's on there doing Poison. And, and it's like, you had little bits to do with it, even if you wasn't directly. You know what I mean? And then this was SWV, Portrait. They had Portrait on there, and that was my joint.
Yeah.
I love that song. Here We Go. That was it. And yeah, that was really dope. And of course, a lot of people started calling after that. Y'all doing shows, but even was COVID, so it was like, not yet. But it has to be done right. It has to be represented right. And again, I'm in a whole lot. Eric's into a whole lot, so it's just a whole timing thing. At this point, you're trying to make that money for your old age. When I'm 70, I want to be able to just chill for 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that's the goals now.
Yeah, that's good. I love that, he had you all included in, that New Jack Swing.
Yeah.
Past the money. I'm glad that he did that.
And then when I saw people's reaction, you go and again, you start reading the comments. I saw so many, oh shit, Entouch. You know what I mean? It was like, wow. And then, they heard that people was like, yo, and he still look good. And then, that was dope. Everybody needs a digital hug from time to time.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a, that little stroke. So that was dope. I told.
Did you hear that?
He does the house music. Huh?
Did you hear that noise in the background?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I had my phone. Someone was trying to call me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went through that twice during this. So, but yeah, that's all. That was dope. And like I told Cassidy when he's going to do the house music one, hit us again because we got to do Without You on there. You know what I mean? No way you could do a house one without you being there. That's kind of crazy. So that's what it is. I really forgot about the Cassidy thing till you just mentioned it though. That's crazy. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's how timeless Entouch is. You all's music, is still being played now.
Yeah. How flattering is that? That kind of weakens death. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay, this vessel could leave, but just to know that you left something that after you're gone, someone is still cherishing, someone is still playing, kind of makes you immortal in a cooler sense, because who would want to live forever physically? So it kind of makes it dope. It makes it, I'm very proud of what Entouch has accomplished, and in a way, I'm kind of proud what we did, because it may not have the same effect if it had blown up super big. If we would have sold 5 million albums, it may have changed. It may change who me and Eric are to each other. You know what I mean? Of course, the financial gains of it would have been beautiful. You know what I mean? Or it could have been worse. You know what I mean? I know so many people had albums that big who never got paid for them.
Yeah.
So it's I'm kind of good where we landed. I'm kind of good with the people who champion us and the people who know our stuff. It stuck to them. It resonated to them, to their souls for all 30 fucking years. What more can you ask than that? That's success.
Yeah.
That's success. So, again, no regrets. And I'm so proud of the people who I was around that did Gigantic. You know what I mean? Like, who the hell thought Bobby was going to be Bobby when he left New Edition?
Yeah.
How can you not be champion that? You know, because at the end of the day, you know, we're all from that same cloth. We're
Yeah.
on that same, you know, name. We're on that same age bracket. You know, we were young Black America. We were part of
Yeah.
the musical movement, or may have not been the one city, but it was kind of like the Motown of that sound of that time, the movement. You know, we all knew who each other was, even if we didn't know each other, and it was dope. You know, I don't see a lot of it like that now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like a lot of the music now, though. You know, what's Shorty's name? What's Homie's name? Brent Fires, is that his name? R&B cat. He's kind of dope. Kid from DC. And my daughter's a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to It's Bass on here, and she's one of the bigger DJs in the DMV area. And you know, she keeps my ears young. You know, but, you know, I have 6 kids. So I have 3 biologically, 3 blessing. You know, they're all mine. And
Yeah.
you know, they keep me young. And I'm always trying to mentor young producers
Yeah.
and you know, young writers, and they keep me fresh. You know, I do a lot of hip hop projects under the name Free ONYB, and people would never know it was me. And ONYB stands for Old Nigga Young Beats. You know, because I like doing them, and you know, it's you know, and I watch people, you know, who are friends like Premier, you know, still out here killing the game. You know, Just Blaze, who's always be one of my top producers. You know what I mean? Just like sit around and watch these cats, and you know, it keeps you moving, it keeps you going. I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning working on these demos for a new singer that I'm doing. She's actually a student at Duke University right now, and she came to me through Lizzie Grumman, and you know, it's in the early stages. She's a pop act, but she's pretty dope. We'll see what happens with it. You know, but the dope thing is, you know, I could work from home now.
Yeah.
You know, I ain't gotta go to nobody's studio. I could come downstairs in a robe and my pajama shorts and like how fresh the hoodie and all this is from the waist up. Believe on the bottom, I got old sweatpants and Crocs on right now. You know, it's you know, music will never get boring. That will always keep you exciting. That would always keep it fresh. Always, for me.
Yeah. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Oh, I had a ball. You're pretty good at this. I got watching doing with when you're doing it with people I know, so I could come in the room and start trouble. Tell her about this. Remember we did that? Because I got stories. My friends are always telling me. My friend Toya, who's like a little sister, she does a lot of blogging and stuff in Philly, and she's always telling me, "Free, you need to do a blog about your stories. You know how you ended up working on a Prince project, and you know the first time you met him, and you know, I just got weird stories like the day I met Stevie Wonder. That's like weird shit that shouldn't have happened that happened. You know, they're entertaining. You know, we ever talk again, I'll just tell stories. Have a bottle of wine and we could tell stories.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to do the interview too.
Yeah, this is easy. Sit in my basement, you know, talk. Been mad people I haven't talked to for in a minute came in and out of the room, so now I got to hit all them back. So again, Mom, if you ever need anything or if I can help you get to someone, no, just holler at me, all right?
Thank you, and it was a pleasure having you here.
All right? And big shout again, Eric McCaine. Oh, and really quick before we hang up, because not enough people know this. Eric wrote and produced Twisted for Keith Sweat.
Yeah, I know that.
You knew that?
Did
Okay.
a lot of points. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of other joints, you know, from Jada Kiss on.
Yeah.
You know, him and Swiss always been really close. They even look like brothers, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I heard the song by him and Swiss Beats. I forgot what it was called, but it was a long time ago because I know I'm young, so I was like a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
It was some song he produced. I had to go back and look, but
yeah. Him and you know Eric had a lot to do with Swiss getting on before Rough Riders took off. You know, A lot of people don't give him enough props. A lot of people don't put him in that honorary mention from Mount Vernon. You know, the
Yeah.
Al Shores, the Heavy D's. Eric's name belongs on that list because he was kind of the first one out of all of them to get popping, outside of like Tony Cintron and Phil Hamilton from Unlimited Touch. But he was early. You know, shout to my big sister Audrey Wheeler from Limited Touch, and you know she sings with Chaka Khan now. I'm gonna get her on one of these house joints.
Wasn't she an artist, Audrey Wheeler?
Yeah, she was a solo artist, but she sang on so many. We didn't even talk about that stuff. Like being around them when I was a kid, I would go to studio sessions with them. So I was there when they did Heartbeat with Tanya Gardner. I was there when they recorded Funky Sensation with Gwen McGray. Like I was there in the studio when these records happened. You know what I mean? And like again, Lenny Underwood, my big brother. I would definitely not be anything I am without him and Sandy and my brother Gene. And Audrey Wheeler, you know, she was like the big sister on tour. Boy, what you doing near that girl? Get your ass on this bus. Because again, I was like 14. I was wild as hell. And you know, I was like, my mother ain't watching this, so I was like selling weed to all the engineers and stuff. So I started hanging around them because I was making money, and this who knew would turn into a career. You know what I mean? So if we ever do a part 2, we'll get into all those. All right,
Cool.
Mama.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure. Everybody who jumped in the room, thank you for coming, and talk to you soon. All the best to you, Mom.
You have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.